Okay, idamik skanatuni, nidaniku apanaki. Good morning, everybody. Today is our session with Bannock and Jam Learning Circle. Today we're going to talk about Orange Shirt Day and how that came about. I work at the public library as the Indigenous liaison, and I'd like us to hear from Madeson.
Kansai, Madeson Singh, Sigasoyan, Mikisew Cree First Nation, Ochinia. Hello, my name is Madeson Singh. I am Cree from the Mikisew Cree First Nation on my mom's side, and on my dad's side, I am Punjabi. I work at the Lethbridge Public Library with Linda and Marilyn, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about this really important event that we're having and celebrate our communities together and gather today for the first ever National Truth and Reconciliation Day.
Okay, our next person is Marilyn. Marilyn also works at the public library. Marilyn?
Hi. Ani oki anin wasabik kazokwe indishinakas. My Anishinaabe name is Shining Stone Woman. My English name is Marilyn Contois. I'm a Saulteaux Anishinaabe from Cowessess First Nation in Saskatchewan. I work at the Lethbridge Public Library as a library technician, Indigenous services. My mother is Gloria, and she also attended residential school. I'd also like to acknowledge that the Lethbridge Public Library acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. The city of Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3.
Okay. Okay, Madeson.
Questions and comments are welcomed, and we will have time to answer them at the end.
Okay, good. September 30th is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. You might wonder why September 30th was chosen, and we have a bit of a video to show you from the lady who started it. Her name is Phyllis Webtstad, and we will hear from her through video.
Hello everyone, my name is Phyllis Webtstad. I am Shawetm from the Stracham, Kenno Creek, Hatchtam, Dog Creek First Nation, which is about 1.5 hours southwest from Williams Lake, BC. I grew up with my granny on the Dog Creek Reserve until I was 10, then moved with my auntie after she finished university. When I had just turned 6, I was sent to the St. Joseph Indian Residential School near Williams Lake, a place we called the Mission. My granny bought me a shiny new orange shirt to go to school in. When I got there, I was stripped, my clothing taken away, including my new orange shirt, and I never saw it again. I was no longer excited to be going to school. I wanted to go home to Granny. I had to stay there for 300 sleeps. No matter how much all of us little kids cried, it didn't matter. No one listened to us. Our feelings didn't matter. We didn't matter. I am the 3rd generation that attended residential school. Both my grandmother and mother attended the mission for 10 years each. Today is a day to honor and remember residential school survivors and their families. Every child matters, even if you're an adult. We must also remember those children that never made it and are no longer with us. Today is a day for survivors to tell their stories and for us to listen with open hearts. I am humbled and honored that you are all taking part in Orange Shirt Day. When I was in school, I didn't know my own history, so I am overjoyed that you are taking part and learning the true history of Canada's First Peoples. Gukshjem, thank you.
It is really an honor to see all the participants on Orange Shirt Day all across Canada. Even as in the United States, there's been people who have joined in with us. Orange Shirt Day also is symbolic of the missing children that were found buried in mass graves, which just recently came to light, which has really caused a lot of hurt, anger, trauma, opening up new and old wounds. But we feel that by doing a craft to honor those children, we can heal with our families. So am I on camera here?
Mhm.
Okay. So we made these dolls. I got the idea from my sister, who was waiting with her granddaughter in a garage, getting her brakes fixed. And she sent me a picture, and they had recycled some McDonald bags and made them into really nice dolls. They also had the luxury of using duct tape. They had those duct tapes with designs and whatnot. So I thought, and I talked to Madeson and Marilyn, and we said, let's do our own paper dolls. We'll dress them in orange shirts, and they'll stand beside the books that talk about the stories of the people. You heard Phyllis say it's time to listen to the stories. Well, those stories take time to read, and they're very difficult to read, especially if you've been in boarding school. But even if you haven't, and it's your first time hearing a story, you're like, how could that possibly have happened? Just in the news recently, they found out that there's been some damage happening in France regarding the churches. So check with that. So it wasn't just Indigenous people that were being, I guess, abused. It seems to have been some kind of a thing that was happening during that period of time. And people seem to think it was okay. And we know that it's not okay. So this doll came to, our dolls are representing those children. Also, they also represent the women and who have been murdered, women and men, and even children who were murdered. And there's been no clue as to where they are, what happened to them, or if there was no justice, proper justice. So that's been an ongoing fight, and it all boils down to racism, which we don't like to hear. We don't like to think that that's happening in the year 2021. And I know Madeson put a lot of time and effort into making these kits. So I want her to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Linda. When Linda came to me about the idea of the paper dolls, we kind of it started off as something small, and it grew into this bigger project. As we made the dolls, we felt it was very therapeutic and meditative. And as we made each of these dolls, we thought more about the children and their families and the survivors. And we figured we wanted to create a way to share this with our communities. And so we put together 50 craft kits. And in each craft kit, we put the materials needed for each of these dolls. And we just wanted to create a way for families to discuss these really difficult topics, but have kind of an outlet, a therapeutic craft that they can do together while they're covering these really difficult topics. And so on the next slide, we kind of talk about what's inside these craft kits.
Okay, so inside and you can see one of the samples that Madeson made. This is, he's got his orange shirt on, and he's got moccasins. Moccasins are really, they're really, I guess, indigenous. And we take pride in our moccasins. And there's even a day dedicated to rock your mocks, they call it. And so people take the day to wear their moccasins, or the week, whatever, to just kind of remind ourselves that, you know, we were more than craftspeople. Our crafts and whatnot they had a practical basis. They weren't things just to admire in a museum. They were living objects that we wore, we used. And so that was kind of like, you know, trying to embody all that into our dolls. And our hair even is important. Boys with braids is really popular. And a lot of our boys cut their hair because they were getting teased. So we wanted to make sure that we had boys that were proud of their hair. And again, we see another sample here. The girl is wearing an orange ribbon skirt, which is the same one this doll has on, only hers is a dress. And she's got her moccasins too. And so they both have their own style of moccasins. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this was the material that we put, that you will need for your paper dolls. Now we can't make the kits anymore because, but you can go online and you can find the kits with a printout of the doll, the paper doll. Do you just want to go over that, Madeson, with your cursor? And the template is just a basic figure. And we found that that works for both the boy and the girl to make the clothes. And of course, you'll need scissors. Everyone has scissors around. Glue, we found the best glue was the Elmer's transparent glue, the clear glue. The stick glue kind of doesn't really stick all that well. A better glue that you could buy if you wanted to spend a little bit more would be the cloth glue. And you can buy that in Michael's, or I think the dollar store has it as well. And I want to talk a little bit about the yarn. We used yarn for the hair, but then Madeson decided that the yarn is really hard to braid. It's very difficult and it takes a lot of time. So Madeson came in one day and said, look at this hair. And she used felt. Explain to them why you used the felt.
Yeah, I found that the felt was a lot easier to use, as with the yarn, there's so many different pieces to attach to the doll itself. With all the dolls that do have braided hair, it took an extensive amount of time to glue each strand down to the doll. So we figured out a way that we could still make braids and other types of hairstyles using the felt. So I think I'd recommend using felt.
So that's something to consider. And that's what I did with this doll. I used felt for her hair because it was a lot easier. Okay, and I just shaped the front of it to it and then glued that on. And then of course you use Sharpies or markers for your to make your design on your moccasins. And fabric, everyone has fabric around the house. Or you can even use paper, like my sister used a recycled McDonald bag, and she even used ads that was in the newspaper to create a dress and clothes for her particular doll. And of course, we really want to promote the orange shirts. So if you want to do orange orange shirts or orange vests or orange clothes. Today I have on an orange dress that I happened to buy from Walmart. I thought, wow, this is really cool. It was on sale. Okay, so we'll jump into the next slide.
Another thing I wanted to mention is for our ribbon skirts and our ribbon shirts, we used this tape that Linda had brought, and it's called washi tape. And you can find the washi tape at the dollar store, at craft stores like Michael's. We found it was really a really neat material to use, especially for our ribbon skirts and ribbon shirts.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The washi tapes are really good, and they really make it look like ribbon, hey?
Mhm.
So anyway, just a quick review of the instructions is to trace the t-shirt on the orange felt for the back and front. And as you can see, we did a back and a front, okay? Can you see that doll, Madison?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so she's got her, and then in the front, she's got her scarf and her purse, and then in the back as well. So she's not just a 2D person, she's actually kind of 3D. And so it makes it more interesting. And a lot of ladies, they'll put stuff on their belts. So you could even do that, like a knife case, or some of the older ladies use moccasins. So you could make a little pair of moccasins to put on there. But this girl doesn't have children yet. So I don't know if I'd recommend that just yet for her, or a scarf to hang down. And then of course you fit them to the doll using glue. And that's fairly easy to do. And I always tend to cut my sleeves longer, so then I can cut them out to face them, to shape them, I should say. And then of course, then we did the felt, the yarn. Madeson even used embroidery thread on one of the dolls, which is really fine and really hard to braid, unless you're really wanting to get into finer work. And then of course, glue that to the front and back of your doll. And then draw a design with your Sharpies or pencil crayons for your doll's footwear, okay? And so we're gonna look at some samples now, I believe. Okay, these were made for the display at the Crossing Branch on the west side by Elizabeth Hegarich. She is she's in charge of that library over there. And she said it was so relaxing, she just got into it. And these are just a few of the ones that she did. And I find them really, really, really fun. She didn't use washi tape. She actually used material. She had a lot of material left over from making masks. So then she took them and she made the dolls with different, they even look like they have different personalities, which I found really, really cool. The ones with they all have a sticker on them, because she then took it a step further. And you know how we wear buttons, all children matter. So she took them, and all these kids are wearing buttons that say all children matter, or Orange Shirt Day, something like that. So I found that quite interesting. And I really love the plaid one because it's like more modern. Like so many of our young people wear plaid now. And one of the dolls that I didn't capture on film, they were actually wearing these really cool runners, but I didn't get a picture of that one. So anyway, those are some samples. These are the samples that Madeson did for the kit. And as you can see, we have the two styles of hair. She shaped the hair on the first one, and then glued that on, and then shaped the hair for the back. So you've got two pieces to glue onto your doll. The same with the boy doll. She had to glue the yarn down, And like we said, it's a more time consuming, but it turns out really nice. So if you prefer to do that, if you have a lot of time on your hands and you wanted to give it a little bit more, I guess, a 3D look, I guess that would be it, hey? Then you could do something like that. And I like the orange shirt the boy's wearing, because my friend made me a picture. She sent to me years ago, and I used to use it. And her paper doll has, well, it's actually a drawing, but it's going by and it's waving at you and it's saying, okay. And she always says she's on her way to the fry bread stand. So you could even make little cartoons and make little dialogue boxes to so they could be talking. So I think that would be, someone could do that as a project out there. I think that would be really cool. That'll be a good way to promote your Indigenous language, your French language, or whatever language that you speak. Muslim, is Muslim a language? No. Sorry, my ignorance there. I believe they speak Arabic. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So anything like that would just promote the Indigenous languages of the world, which I think would be really cool. And that's our other thing, is to really promote our languages. You heard us introducing ourselves in Blackfoot, Cree, and Anishinaabe. So those are just 3 of the, how many, 160 languages in Canada, I believe.
And while we encourage you to make your crafts, we want to encourage you to, we found this resource just the morning of the presentation that we did, and it's called 150 Acts of Reconciliation. And it was created in 2017, I believe, which was, I think that marked the 150th year of Canada. And so Crystal Fraser created this resource where she put together a list of 150 acts of reconciliation that you can do and how you can actively participate in reconciliation. Because I feel it's not enough just to be empathetic. There needs to be action behind that empathy. And so while you create your faceless doll, maybe you can go through this list. We've provided the link on the slideshow right here. And on the list, there's different things like, I think the first one is learn the territory that you belong to. So as we all know, we live on Blackfoot territory. And I think another thing on there would be learn some Indigenous languages, especially the languages of the land that you occupy.